Hi and welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben.
And I'm Kay.
And today we are reviewing an Apple original TV series based on a book called Foundations. Let us know in the comments below, are you a fan of Isaac Asimov's novels? His great epic novels. I have a friend of mine named Matt who used to read all of these, and I was so jealous of him being able to just pour his mind over all of these. If you do read, this is one of those authors that people always say to you, have you read Isaac Asimov? So let me know. Asimov.
I think.
Asimov?
Asimov.
Is a Russian cosmonaut?
Problem in the Russian space station.
Probably not. Let us know in the comments below, what is your favourite of his?
A complex saga of humans scattered on planets throughout the galaxy, all living under the rule of the Galactic Empire.
First things I should say, if you are coming from the perspective of having read the books, particularly obviously based on Foundations, then I feel like you might be disappointed.
Yeah.
Because when watching this, and I haven't read the books, and we do love reading books, it's just one of those authors we haven't gotten around to, I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like there's stuff, because the world is so vast from what they create. In the first 2 episodes alone, you can see the rules and the regulations in the sets that they show you of what is happening in this universe. It just feels like there's a lot that you need to stuff into your brain. There's a lot of new information that they're throwing at you, as well as there's stuff that you just feel like is not there.
Yeah, but they kind of expect you to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is fair enough, because actually, in this sort of vast world building, you don't necessarily have the time to explain everything. Some things just are, and you sort of figure them out as you go along.
Yeah, so I mean, adaptations are normally like this. It's very rare that you get a Lord of the Rings extended edition where they manage to chuck in everything. Harry Potter is a prime example. There's whole storylines that are not in the movies that are in the books, and people have still to this day go, but why did you miss out this bit? I know there's parts with Sirius that I love that are not in the films.
We digress.
Yes, but that's just an example. So putting that aside, what did you think of the first? Well, we've watched the first 7 episodes. There's 10 in total. The first 2 are out. The first 2 feel like a feature film.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was gripping from the beginning. I thought that the way that they created the world, the differences between the different worlds, because of course, it's one of those epic sagas where you have multiple different planets across this whole galaxy. So there's so much to explore, and there's so many different cultures, different religions, different ways of life that you can actually express in a film. I was going to say film because it does feel like a film in a series like this. So I thought it was really gripping. I thought the sets were just really, really good, visually really appealing. The acting was just...
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting way to act.
Yeah. No, the acting was quite riveting as well. So when you put all of that together, you've got these great sets, you've got amazing costumes, you've got really well thought out characters, obviously because they come from books. So they come with their own history, their own baggage, their own, everything. So that's really great for an actor. So you have these fairly developed characters, and you feel like you arrive in the story in the middle of a story that's been playing for a really long time already. And that's, I guess it keeps you hooked because you just want to know, you want to understand, you want to know what's going on, you want to understand what the ramifications of all of this stuff is.
One of the things about the Witcher TV series that people didn't like and didn't quite understand if you hadn't read the first book is that the way the story progresses is in and out of time. It jumps all over the place. And so because of that, some people had a negative response to the first season of The Witcher because they didn't quite get to grips with how the story was being told. This is not as quite to that extent, but there is a lot of time jumping around to follow characters in different places and different times. So bearing that in mind, they're going to be telling the story from people's different perspectives, not just one protagonist, multiple protagonists in different times, locations, planets. But it just adds to the epicness of this series. It feels very Game of Thrones in space. It's also the classic I hate technology religion versus I love technology. What do those people know? those stupid zealots. And it feels like these two main players in the world, without doing spoilers, are always butting heads, and that is the thing that causes a reaction. In the first two episodes, or the first episode, we have a cataclysmic reaction to something, basically these sects butting heads, and because of that, we then get the story that unfolds. If you've read the book, you'll know, but for those that want to know whether it's going to get more exciting because you've watched episode 2 and you're like, dang, we went from that pretty high, pretty exciting, big explosions, big sets, to a lot of monologues. Which, what you got to know about the monologues in this is that's kind of setting up what's going to happen in the future, also explaining a lot of the lore that you kind of need to know. So it's not really dumping exposition, because the monologues are often conversations had between people of the deep belief systems that they've had, that are created for them in this universe. And then that really kind of expands on what's happening in episode 4 and 5. Once you get to episode 5, it really shifts gear and you feel like, whoa, okay, now I'm really invested. But that's because they've had the few episodes beforehand to lean on, to establish their world, their universes, the story that's going on. And then it gets, well, for us, it's definitely much more entertaining.
Yeah.
But I do feel like we need to talk about the actors a little bit.
Yeah, it's got a fantastic cast. Some of the characters I find slightly annoying, the way they've been written.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there are certain female protagonists who, towards the latter episodes, start behaving in a way that I just don't feel is completely congruent with their characters. But that's the way they've been written, and that's the way the actors have been told to play them. So I'm not knocking the actors. I think they're doing a great job. But we have some really wonderful characters in this story. And I've just been so impressed with the way that they've been portrayed, their acting. You know, I haven't found any kind of really weak links in this.
I think the royal family is an interesting one to look at because it spans multiple generations. They've been around for a long time. You get a character that is portrayed by many characters, and then you get a consistent character that's been there along all of this time. And so it's a really interesting play from watching her perspective to watching their perspective, and you are the fly on the wall that watch all perspectives.
Yeah.
And there's one female character who is the constant. And I would say that she really portrays an aura of authority, presence that she has in it, but also respect and fear at the same time.
Yeah.
And fear is a big thing when it comes to this royal family.
Yeah.
For themselves, for each other. It's a weird dynamic to be able to portray without saying it. And I think that comes down to quite strong writing.
Yeah. Yeah, really. It does. One of the things I also wanted to comment on is when I was watching it with just Ruben, we were really enjoying how clever it sounds with all the maths. And then we watched an episode with our son in the room. And he just destroyed that completely. So if you're a mathematician, don't ruin it for everyone else. Because we're watching her, we're watching a character doing some complicated maths. And my son's like, oh, that's really simple. Why is she making it out like that's so special?
Well, it wasn't her, it was the way it was edited.
It was,
that
absolutely.
was making it going, this is amazing. And
look how smart
the response
she
was,
is.
but that's really basic, they're just doing this. And you...
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Ruined it for me.
Go away, son. Anyways, I'm sure in the book, it's much more intelligent. It comes across that it has a really intelligent story. And it definitely makes me want to go and read the book.
Yeah.
Because I want to know all the stuff that I'm missing. If that is the response for you watching this, then I think it's done a good job. But at the same time, it should have enough information for you to be able to follow and enjoy it, really get to grips with the storyline and want to keep watching the next episodes.
Yeah.
For me, that did happen, but I had to push through a bit. There are moments, because it jumps around times, there are certain characters that I just go, yeah. Or when there's somebody that comes on screen you're just used to seeing that is going to bring their A game, you breathe a sigh of relief and go,
Yay!
this dude or this person
Let's watch this
is
person.
fantastic. You know, they're going to bring, even if the monologuing that they're monologuing is boring, you know, it's from them, it's going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Because they have presence. So you get some of that in this. But there are definitely, for me, actors or actresses that I prefer watching their storyline. It feels much more entertaining, much more riveting. So you kind of sigh when they go to the other storyline. It's like, oh, I'm really not that interested. Go back to that storyline.
Yeah.
And you kind of know it because every time you come back to the storyline, you literally talk out loud and go, yay, we're back to the storyline.
Yeah.
We have a bit of that going on in here.
But I think it's necessary because they're going to, at some point, come back all together. So
Yeah.
that's why we're having to sort of like follow these different strands, but they're going to come back in. And that's why we need to know what's happening with everyone at all time.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. This is a high caliber series. It feels like a high budget. It's not nearly gratuitous as Game of Thrones, but the sets are lavish as Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It feels expensive. It feels like it's lovingly created. The acting and the script and the dialogue feel polished. Nothing feels really out of place. The score is phenomenal. I know when it comes to the director, a lot of people have a bit of hit or miss feelings when it comes to David S. Goyer, and I have the same thing. I know he sometimes can really hit it out of the park, but I think that could be said about most creators. So far, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a feat to be able to tackle something like this. I was thinking of comparing it, not quite to Game of Thrones, more of a space adventure like Dune. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it does feel
as
Dune-esque.
big in
Yeah.
nature. There's even people with blue eyes, man. So yeah, let us know. Have you read Dune and have you read Foundations? But Isaac Asimov's wow, Asimov. Asimov. Let us know. Have you read the comparison? Which do you think is better? 'Cause-
I'm also really hoping that by episode 10, I'll actually understand what's happening.
It does
completely.
leave you with a lot of questions.
But that's good for me. I'm the kind of person who normally guesses like partway through, and then I'm just waiting for it all to fall into place.
Yeah, very true.
So this is quite unique for me to actually be looking at it and going, actually, I don't know where this story is going. I don't know how that bit fits in. I don't know what this is. And, you know, it's actually quite entertaining. Well, it's frustrating, but also fun at the same time.
Yeah, so I will give it a rating, but maybe we'll revisit it once we come back and we've seen the end and how they complete it. But for now, I'm going to give this 4 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
Yeah, I agree.
Ah, okay.
It's a 4Cage film.
Full Cage film.
It's not a film.
That's right. Thanks so much for watching this, but most of all, until next time, remember,
Live long and Tuesday.